Hello, everyone, and welcome to this instalment of Burridge and Tom Rambling On. My name is Tom, and as always, I am joined by my good friend Burridge.
Yes, hello, that is me. I hope you're all having a fabulous day. Let's have a look at our topics today, shall we?
In this episode, we will be updating you on the status of our podcast,
What streaming services are even up to?
and Apple's latest announcements. Also, just have to say, fabulous day, darlings.
Fabulous day, darlings. It's wonderful out there, actually.
It is a fabulous day here in good old Blighty. It's not raining for a change. Mark it on your calendars.
Yeah, absolutely. This is
Actually, to be fair, it's been quite dry so far.
It has, actually. We've had a spot of rain the other day, but I am in Cornwall, so, you know.
Now that I walk to work, I tend to keep a closer eye on the weather, so...
Well, I mean, that may change for me soon, too. I may be doing the same. We'll see. Yes, so our first topic today is actually surrounding us, the podcast.
As all things should.
As all things should. In the last couple of weeks, yes, it is the gravity, yes. In the last couple of weeks, we have been doing some changes behind the scenes, which will, in the long run, support the podcast's future endeavours.
As well as related projects.
As well as other related projects. So, we've moved away from Ko-fi to Patreon. It made no difference to us in a way because Ko-fi, we had no supporters on Ko-fi yet anyway, so we felt like the change would be better for us overall because of Patreon's reach. It has
that recognition.
Has the recognition, so I think in that sense it works better for us. Thanks to a chance email we got in the inbox the other week, we've actually moved away from Anchor as our propagation. Propagation?
Yeah, it's like the sort of hosting and back end thing they provide.
That's the word. I was making sure I had the right word in my head. As our.
It's sort of like a targeted CDN, really, of content distribution network.
Yeah. So we've moved away from Anchor and we have moved over to Acast. Our podcasts are not affected, so if you listen to it on one platform, you should still be able to listen to it just fine. Our YouTube VODs, they've all been made unlisted because of an issue, I'm pretty sure on YouTube's end, where as the videos were being released, they, for some reason, got published in the wrong order.
Thanks, YouTube.
Yeah. So they are in a playlist, though. So if you go to the Burridge and Tom YouTube channel and find the playlist, it is just there. But all future VODs, starting from this episode, will publish as live and can be seen on the channel just fine. We're using Acast to publish it automatically now, so the YouTube VODs will be up to date with everything else we're doing. Very useful, really, because the YouTube fell behind because I couldn't be bothered, honestly. It's my fault.
YouTube's a little bit of a pain, though.
It was a pain in the ass because I had to render it as an audio but also as a video, whereas Anchor sort of just does it for us. It also adds a nice little, has our podcast image. It also adds the little audio bar, which I always wanted to add, but I don't have pro software to do it with, so it's nice that that's a thing now as well. Feels a lot more podcasty, I feel, you know?
Yeah, one of the advantages to Acast is that.
Yeah. And another advantage is we are now on Amazon Music / Audible as well. So if you use Audible for your podcasting needs...
I'm going to see if it actually comes up on the Audible app, because I saw it came up on Amazon, but... You continue, I'll find out.
All right. If you have joined our Discord server, you will be notified of releases there now as well. I've set up a web integration to automatically post there when we release a podcast episode.
Yeah, it does show up on Audible.
Hey. Supporters of Patreon will be given a supporter role on the Discord, and it costs £3 a month to become a supporter. That's all the major updates, really, for the podcast side of things.
Yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about exactly why we've moved, other than like these reasons. It's like, so Acast, part of Spotify, an American company, which makes, if we were ever to get to the point of wanting to monetize the podcast, it would be a little bit more difficult. Mainly because they haven't launched any monetization services outside of the United States yet. Whereas Acast is Swedish, I want to say.
It's definitely European.
Yeah, Acast is European, which European tax laws align more with British tax laws, even though there was the big disagreement a few years ago that we're still suffering the repercussions of. Thanks, Britain.
Stay tuned for our first Patreon episode where we talk about all that.
Yeah, well, we bring in a special guest. But yeah, it's more aligns with what we need. I mean, we have a bit of a more distant relationship with Spotify now, but
I don't think that's a bad thing.
We don't really notice any. We're not substantial enough to notice a huge difference. So
no, exactly.
And I think what it is.
And I think Acast overall probably better for our building of the podcast because we're on more platform because of it.
Yeah.
And it allows us to keep the YouTube side of things up to date as well.
YouTube is still quite a platform for growth.
Yeah. So I think overall it's going to help us grow. And, of course, with the Patreon, like I just sort of teased, we are hoping to do bonus content, which will be Patreon exclusive, so they won't come through Acast and the podcasting side of things. They'll only be on Patreon. Things like blooper reels.
You can link that.
I think you can, but I think I haven't quite worked it out yet.
Oh, yeah.
I did look into it, but it didn't quite make sense to me. It sounded like it was going to make the podcast Patreon only, which I don't want.
Right, yeah.
So, but either way, we're hoping to have special episodes there as well, like one on politics we're hoping to do. I believe
one looking at the history of Apple.
And yeah, one looking at the history of Apple as well. So, yeah, we're looking to do, I guess, editorial pieces on there, really, as well. Just special things that could only, I guess, be possible because of funding in some ways.
Special episode brought to you by...
Yeah, exactly. So that'll be fun, because those episodes would effectively be sponsored by Patreon members for Patreon members.
Yeah.
So that'll be a fun thing to do. And yeah, we'll see what happens, I guess, with that. But
yeah, just some nice changes, mixing it up a bit.
Yeah. As we go forth with our season 2 plans, this is episode 9 of season 2 now.
This is
episode
what happens.
20.
Yeah, this is what happens when you read spam emails.
Yeah, sometimes they actually aren't spam.
Yeah. Burridge, 4 more weeks and we've beaten the record, or we've matched the record for the previous season.
Oh, true. Yeah. So what we're saying is we get to episode 11, end it, and then make a season... No.
Wait another 2 years.
And then do a season 3.
No. We've got to keep it going until at least EGX. We've got to justify our visit. Well, we don't have to justify our visit, but it's nice to have a justification.
Yeah. And it'll be nice to actually record a podcast in person. But as we were discussing earlier with train things, I can train up to you to record episodes as well, I guess, now, because it's cheap enough. So
we'll see what we can do.
We may have to look at doing something like that eventually. That could be...
And some YouTube content. Keep your eyes peeled, everyone.
Yeah.
And of course... Not right now.
No.
Give us 5 minutes.
And probably more Patreon content as well, more little bits
Patreon
and bobs.
Exclusives.
Yeah. So there you go. I think that covers that particular portion of the episode with the state of the podcast, as we called it in our docs.
The state of the absolute
state of it, yeah.
Of this podcast.
There's junk all over the floor. Tom hasn't tidied his room.
I genuinely haven't. So yeah, it was sort of tidy, but then I put all the clean clothes I couldn't be bothered to put away on the floor, and it's a mess again. It's called a floordrobe. It works.
Floordrobe. I like the floordrobe idea. I feel like my partner would not, though.
At my normal home, I have a sofa in my room, and that's called the chaise laundry.
Oh dear. Well, I guess with that particular,
Right.
let's move on to the
unhappy.
Yeah, it's time for Tom to be unhappy for a bit.
Let's think back to whatever episode it was when I ranted about streaming services. It was back in
Ooh.
November.
Yeah, quite a long time ago.
It was when they announced that Star Trek Discovery would not be coming to Netflix. It would be coming to Paramount Plus, which was supposed to be launching in February. Spoiler alert: it still hasn't. Very angry. Actually, to be honest, I'm not that bothered about Star Trek Discovery Season 4, but yeah, I thought the idea of these platforms was to avoid the ad-riddled mess that is television nowadays. You know, like, I guess it's not too bad, but if you're trying to watch something and you're watching it on, like, British reference here, Film 4, and it's like every 15 minutes you have X amount of ads, it's like, it really disrupts the flow of watching a film. I like to just sit there and watch through without interruption. Or more accurately, I like to sit there and look at my phone without interruption while the movie's on in the background. But yeah, so Disney are currently in the planning stage for launching an ad-supported tier to Disney Plus in 2022. Obviously, this allows for a cheaper option for streaming movies, but we know that down the line that's going to get more expensive, and therefore regular Disney Plus is going to go up in price. Everything's going up in price. Can something go the opposite direction for a change, please?
I was going to say, it would be nice, wouldn't it, just to
Yeah.
Fuel's gone up. Taxes have gone up. Heating and electric and that sort of stuff has gone up.
That's why I burn paperwork to keep warm. But yeah, you know, ad-supported tiers are, you know, they're not great. But don't worry. Netflix saw Disney were like that and they said, hold my beer. Netflix are looking to charge a second user fee for people who account share, or for people who watch Netflix in multiple locations from how they're going to try and make this work. So let's have a look at the theoretical situation here. Say you watch Netflix at home and at your partner's house when you go and visit. Is Netflix going to consider that two users and charge you a fee for the extra thing? So how's this going to work for people like me, like a student? I watch Netflix here. I watch Netflix at home. How do? Like, sure, I get Netflix are trying to crack down on people sharing out their account. But the way Netflix's payment system is structured, you pay for screens, not for households. So, Netflix, what gives? Why do this? I know why do this. Money. Money's always the answer. But the thing is, it's like, Netflix has still got some good content, but I feel like they've really gone down over the past several years, especially with more rival services launching.
But that in itself is a problem, because more services is segregating the content even more, making it even more expensive to that you want.
Just you watch 5 or 6 years down the line, we're going to have a company come out that just aggregates them all into one, and you just pay one big subscription fee, and it's basically like paying for Sky or
It's
like
Sky
Comcast in America.
too, yeah.
Actually, Sky is owned by Comcast, so it's just Comcast UK.
Yeah.
So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, the Paramount Plus launch in the UK has been delayed until at least the summer this year, possibly later, which, you know, I can live without Star Trek Discovery, but the Halo TV series they've been working on is supposed to be releasing like this summer, and Paramount Plus isn't due to launch until after that.
Jeez.
And I kind of want to watch that. So, guess it's time to see if my VPN will let me watch it on American Paramount Plus.
I don't know why they even need to delay it. What's the problem?
It's probably something to do with regulation in the UK. Our sort of like telecom and stuff is a bit more regulated than like what the FCC does.
Okay.
Ofcom is a bit more stringent with things. Ofcom are also a bit more heavy-handed when it comes to fining for things. So, but hey, I was doing some research on this, and it turns out a while ago in America, at least, YouTube started offering movies with ads for free. Like no subscription or anything required.
So it's just like a YouTube ad on a video, basically. Then
yeah.
Oh.
But it's like full studio movies. Like RoboCop was on there when I just whipped out the VPN and gave it a go. Turns out my VPN does work, so I can go watch YouTube ad-riddled movies.
But how well does that work if you, I don't know, use an ad blocker on your browser?
I haven't tested it on my PC. I only tested it on mobile yesterday, so I might give that a test after this.
Because, if you're using an ad blocker and you do it on your desktop or something, then is it just like a normal YouTube video experience where you don't have the ad and you watch it for free? And I mean,
if it is, I'll be quite happy with that. Don't tell YouTube.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
YouTube, stop, cover your ears, stop listening. But yesterday actually, yesterday for us, the 23rd of March for everyone else, YouTube now launched TV series. One I know they've got on there is Hell's Kitchen, with Michelin-starred chef, angry British bloke Gordon Ramsay. He's genuinely a nice bloke. He's just very good at pretending to be angry because it's what the American audience wants. But if you ever watch him with the everyone at this point has seen the meme of you donkey and It's Okay Precious on MasterChef for kids or whatever it was when the little girl was crying. But yeah, so I thought, I feel the way YouTube is going about it is a bit better because you don't have to pay for anything. For starters, like this next, like something I discovered the other day is, Now TV.
Yes, yeah.
The Sky subscription that doesn't have a contract or the box or the satellite dish or any of that nonsense. Turns out that Now TV, now the base tier that is normally something like £11 a month, has ads on it.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, we know. Yeah, me and Jess found that out a while ago. In regards to the Now TV thing with the ads,
I know it's
really annoying.
I was paying £5 for the boost that removes ads and allows HD.
Yeah, so the base package allows you 720p. In 2022, by the way, we are now in. It's still
Sky. Why do you do this?
We actually cancelled it when we found out because we were like, well, actually, we didn't pay you to have ads.
Yeah, literally.
The whole point of paying for something is that you don't have ads. That is the point.
I've currently got my Now TV for half price.
Yeah.
Because when TalkTalk TV cancelled their Sky deal, basically the replacement for the contract was we'll offer like half price off Now TV for the duration of your TalkTalk contract with TalkTalk TV.
Yes.
So, but at this point, I might just cancel it because I got the boost thing when I watched the finale of the Formula One season last year. Because I was like, I want to watch this live. Then it turns out they bloody aggregated it to Channel 4 anyway, and I could have watched it for free. Scammed myself there, didn't I? But yeah, then I found out that they had ads on it. And I was like, well, what's the bloody point of charging for it then?
Yeah, we cancel. Yeah, we were just like, you know what? Yeah. No, we don't want it. If you're going to charge us and then still give us ads, we still use the Now TV stick we have for like YouTube and.
Oh yeah, because it's just a Roku stick with a slightly different firmware. Yeah. I mean, like an actual Roku box is amazing. It's what I use for my projector. It is so good. But no, it's just so annoying. Like, at least the way YouTube's doing it, they're doing it exactly the same thing that Now TV is doing, but they're not charging you 11 quid for the privilege.
Yeah.
So, good job, YouTube. Good guy, Google. What's going on here?
I mean, I don't know how long that'll last for, mind.
Yeah. Google doing something good. It's weird.
I'm assuming the only reason they could afford to pay it out and then have it ad supported is because Google Ads is like the biggest ad delivery network ever.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of the reasons I guess they could support such a model.
I think it might be some like some licenses that they got when they were attempting Google TV a while back.
That could, yes, that could be it
I
as
think
well.
this is supposed to be replacing Google TV, which was a thing they were trying to launch in America that never really got off the ground. It's really interesting, actually. We ought to do a bonus episode on the history of Google's failed projects, because there is a surprising amount.
There's a lot. There's a website for it as well.
Or things that Google has bought and run into the ground.
Yeah.
And Microsoft, they used to be bad for that.
Yep. EA have done it.
Electronic Arts, yeah. But yes, Thomas is not happy with streaming services. Disappointment, ruined, day, immeasurable.
Although, more surprisingly, moving on to the next topic from that, is we're actually a lot more happier with Apple in the next one, apart from one particular...
A couple of things.
There's a couple of things.
Little details, but it's about things that we could never afford anyway, so whatever. This is someone with too much money's problem. Yeah. We have more tech emerging from the giant donut in San Francisco. I still can't believe they built a donut for their headquarters, and it cost them like billions of dollars. But yeah, so like I was just expecting like an iPhone SE announcement, but no, this was a full like nearly hour-long keynote, and they announced a surprising amount. Especially seems as they normally wait until like late September, early October to announce everything. But yes, let's have a look at what we've got, shall we? Apple have announced a third generation of the iPhone SE. You remember that thing that was just an iPhone 4 chassis with slightly worse parts in it? Well, it's grown up into the third generation iPhone SE, which is still rocking the A15 Bionic chip. Is it called Bionic? Yeah, A15 Bionic.
Yes, yeah.
Their chip naming scheme's a little weird, but so is everyone else's. Except AMD's, because Zen 1 through 5 is like so easy. Before that, it was a nightmare.
Yeah, although the way you would think Zen 1, 2, and 3 goes is not how it goes.
It's not quite accurate, but it's more logical than Skylake, Coffee Lake, Steve Lake, Big Lake,
Terry
Wet
Lake.
Whatever Lake Intel is up to at this point. But yeah, the iPhone SE, it's got 4.7-inch display, which I feel is a little small. I mean, I guess it's okay for people who like small phones. I don't. That's my biggest qualm about changing to an iPhone when it comes to upgrading my phone, is the fact that I'll be losing 0.6 of an inch of screen real estate diagonally. So that'll be and it's the only iPhone to still be rocking the fingerprint sensor.
Yeah.
To be fair, I'm going to miss that. I'm going to miss the fingerprint sensor. Although there is a problem with the fingerprint sensor on my phone, is that when I'm in a call with someone and I go to unlock my phone, the fingerprint sensor is in exactly the same spot as the hang up call button. The number of times I've accidentally hung up on people while trying to unlock my phone is unreal. It's just ring the back like, sorry,
I was unlocking my phone.
Thanks, OnePlus. But yeah, it's going to have the low price tag of £419 for the base model. I don't really know if there's an upgraded model. Probably not. The SE is designed to be
meant to be the low
bare
end,
bones,
yeah,
as possible. Like not bare bones, but you know, it is not there to be anything spectacular. It is definitely not there to rival the flagships. What else was announced? There was a new iPad Air. It now has Type-C. It is finally joining the iPad Pro world.
Yep.
And having a sensible connector.
Just a shame
I still
the
don't think they're ever going to do the
aren't.
iPhone. No, I don't think they're going to do the iPhone, to be honest. Oh no, there is upgrade options for the SE. You can go up to 256 gig.
Okay.
That's better than I expected. But yeah, the new iPad Air has the Apple M1 Silicon, so this is going to bring the Air lineup more in line with
The
the Pro.
iPad Pros, yeah. So
Was the Air supposed to be the intermediate between the Basic and the Pro? I think it was.
I'm assuming it was, because I think back for the MacBooks, it's the low-end model. The Air is
Yeah.
meant to be the lightweight, thin, less powerful version. And then you have the MacBook, and then you have the MacBook Pro. But in terms of tablets, I think it's the other way around, where it's the iPad, the Air, the Pro.
Looking at the pricing structure for it, the Air is the middle one.
Yeah. We'll be talking more about the iPad Pro in particular, the 2021 edition anyway, next time, because...
Join us for a product review.
Yeah, it'll be a product review in most ways, because I'm currently, as of yesterday, well, not quite an owner of one, but either way, I have one now. And I'm using it to read all our show notes right now, and this is one of the ones with the M1 Silicon in, so it's the 2021 version.
Man's out here flexing. I'm still using a ThinkPad X260 for all my writing.
So I'm looking forward to talking about it more. But yeah, the M1 Silicon, man, just as a general note, in a tablet is insane.
Apple have pulled something truly spectacular off with the Apple M1 Silicon. It is a computer grade processor that they can put in a mobile device.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, this tablet has 8 gig of RAM, for example, my one.
Yeah.
Because I have the 256 gig model. But if you get the 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte storage models, which by the way, also insane for a tablet.
Yeah, that's mental.
You get 16 gig of RAM in them.
Oh yeah, the new Air has 8 gig as well.
Yes. I suspect the Air won't get the 16 gig variant though. I suspect that'll be left for the Pro. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah, and this one only goes up to 256 gigs, so yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be 8 gig then.
But so the base model of the new iPad Air will be £569. Nice.
Actually, that's not bad. Like, if you look at the price of that new SE compared to an iPad Air, I know they are different things, but either way, for the amount of device you get, that's...
Well, the fact that, I mean, you're comparing a phone to a tablet, so, I mean, it's kind of unbalanced anyway. But you compare the silicon you're getting, the amount of screen real estate you're getting, like, realistically, who even answers phones anymore?
Not me, if I can help it.
Yeah, I try to avoid answering the phone if possible. I don't want to talk to people. But, like, if you were looking for a productivity device... Like, an iPad Air is now a genuine option because it's rocking that M1 Silicon. And it's only £869 for the very top spec. That includes cellular and 256 gigabytes of internal storage. So that is perfect for a portable workstation that doesn't cost you a kidney.
Yeah.
I mean, compare it to an iPad Pro of similar spec. I mean, the screens are slightly smaller than an iPad Pro. But if you're working on a tablet, you kind of expect it anyway.
Well, if you compare to the one I have, it's the 12.9-inch Pro with 256 gig. So that basically puts it in range of the top-end Air.
Yeah.
And this one is probably like, what, £600 more?
It's
only a couple of hundred more, is it?
It's £1,000 for the tops, well, for a similar spec. So that's cellular, 256 gig. It's £1,000. So you're saving yourself, what, 130 quid?
Yeah. See, mine's not cellular. By the time you chuck on
the Magic Keyboard and everything.
Oh, God, yeah. Mine's Wi-Fi only, but, I mean, fine.
Yeah, realistically, you're not... Like, my laptop is cellular capable, but that's because I paid for a £30 card and installed it myself.
Yeah.
That is the thing. Like, I do... As much as I'd love to work with a MacBook, I do love the sheer modularity of one of these older ThinkPads. The fact that I can easily replace the batteries in seconds. The next generation of this one up removed the removable battery at the back, so I'll be sticking with this one. Thanks, boss. But slightly smaller announcement on the flagship end of things. The iPhone 13 and iPhone 13 Pro are now available in green. It's actually quite a nice shade of green. And yeah, I will be getting the iPhone in green when I get one. So,
Oh, Jess isn't gonna like that one. She doesn't like the new green one.
no, it looks so nice. No, it looks a lot nicer on the Pro than it does on the regular one, on the actual iPhone. But I think that's because the iPhone 13 Pro seems to have a mattified glass back. So it's like matte as opposed to the sort of stark green that
Right,
the regular
okay.
13 is. Because the regular 13's got glass back more akin to like the 4 series iPhones where it was like shiny glass. I don't know what the back of your phone's like at all. I think
Mine's shiny.
shiny, yeah. So like,
Mine's the 12.
yeah, the Pro ones are more like etched matte, kind of. So it's less horrible. See, I like green. It's either that or the blue one. The blue's a nice color as well. Or I could get it in product red.
I got product red on my one.
Okay, I won't go red then. I can't copy Burridge.
Well,
I must be different.
you're gonna be a newer model than mine anyway, because I'm on the 12 at the moment. Yeah, see, I'm only on the I'm on the 12 standard. I didn't get the Pro or
yeah. But yeah. So the most interesting thing to be announced, the Mac Studio. It looks like a Mac Mini that grew up. It's in roughly the same footprint as a Mac Mini, but about more than twice as tall, I'd say. About 3 times as tall.
I would say it's about 3 Mac Minis stacked on one top of one another. Looking at it,
like it's deceptive how thin a Mac Mini actually is.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was looking at the specs page, but I realised I'm looking at the wrong Mac. I went to look at the Mac Pro and drool over it. That cheese grater front. It's just something else. Right, okay, so along with the announcement of the new Mac Studio, we had the announcement of the the M1 Ultra. It's 2 M1 Maxes. Did they announce the Max as well? Or was that announced for the previous generation?
I think they announced the Max previously.
Yeah, I feel like the Max. Either way, the M1 Max is a 10-core CPU with a 24-core GPU. So what Apple have done is they basically duct taped 2 of these together to make the M1 Ultra. It is actually something insane what they've done. They have basically somehow developed into the silicon a bridge, effectively what a bridge chip does in a dual socket motherboard or on a dual GPU graphics card. But instead of having it work across balance the load between 2 CPUs, it just makes the system recognize it as one single CPU, despite the fact that it is 2 technically. It is insane. Like Intel, AMD, Nvidia, I think even ARM have been doing research into it, and like other companies that develop this sort of thing have been trying this for a while. Because the problem with, as efficient as you might get with like a dual core server system, you still have that slight delay with the bridge chip. They don't have this problem with Apple because some insane nonsense they're up to. Up to 800 gigabit per second memory bandwidth on the M1 Ultra.
Is ridiculous.
That's a lot. For the actual device itself, the Mac Studio, it comes with 4 Thunderbolt ports on the back, as well as 2 Type-C on the front. I do believe the 2 Type-C on the front are actually Thunderbolts on the M1 Ultra variant, because they'd have more lanes for Thunderbolt then.
I was going to say they would have the lanes to be able to do that, yeah.
Yeah. They simultaneously support up to 5 displays, which is impressive for a Mac. Nothing compared to some trading setups I've seen, but The traders are strange. Yeah, 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports on the M1 Ultra. Interestingly, I've noticed a lot of people talking about this. Have you seen the front of it, Burridge?
Yes.
Yeah. The USB-C ports are vertical.
Yes, they are. They're not. Yeah.
But that's actually interesting, because if you orient your Type-C port that way, there's a hell of a lot less mechanical force on the connector as it's dangling. So it's actually better long-term for your cables. Like the way that a Type-C is designed,
Of course,
a weight
yeah.
would hang off that. It's spread out across, the load is spread across a much wider area, so the mechanical force is a hell of a lot lower. So that's actually better for whatever you have attached. I mean, at the height it's attached, it won't make a huge difference, but a slight difference over a long time does add up. But I thought that was an interesting design choice. I do feel like what they should have done is they should have put the Type-C ports above the SD card readers to make a face.
Yes.
That is very much a missed opportunity. God damn it, Apple.
And then centered it so it's like a proper.
Although, to be fair, it does look kind of like it could be a Star Wars robot's face.
True.
With like an asymmetric face. We've seen that sort of thing with Lando's robot in not Rogue One, Solo.
Yeah.
But so on to the not so great thing. Although actually this one is kind of excusable. This bit. Mac Studio RAM is not upgradable. It is not socketed, it is soldered directly to the board. No upgrade options at all. Why I consider this excusable is there is an advantage to doing it like that. At the end of the day, RAM sticks are modular for increased build efficiency. What the disadvantage of having socketed RAM like it is it's further away from the CPU. And that can make instruction retrieval between the caches on your CPU and the RAM longer. Which again, negligible difference, but over several thousand, or we're up to millions of cycles a second, aren't we, with gigahertz?
Oh god, yeah.
So yeah, over several million cycles, that extra like millionth of a second really adds up. So while it's not great that you can't upgrade your RAM, having it directly soldered to the board and being, in fact, the DRAM's actually on the same silicon as the CPU, not like the same substrate, the fiberglass board that makes up the circuit board that the M1 silicon sits on, and then all the associated MacGuffins. You can tell I'm an expert at computer stuff. I'm using the big words like MacGuffins. But yeah, it's like if you've ever taken the cover off of a GPU, you'll notice that all of the DRAM chips, or all of the RAM chips, are basically encircling the actual GPU silicon itself. And that's for lower transfer times. Because even on like the relatively small scale of a computer, those transfer times do add up very, very quickly. So this is the slightly less good thing. That was good English. I speak good England, I do. The storage, as far as we can tell, and this is using data generated by other creators who can get their hands on one of these devices, because I sure as hell can't. The storage is not upgradable after the fact, after purchase, unless it's done by Apple. So it does seem to be it has 2 onboard slots for like an M.2 style SSD, but it's a very, very short SSD I did see in the iFixit teardown.
Yes.
and it is not a standard SSD at all. So it's not like you could just slap a Samsung Evo in there. First off, it'd be way too long. But it seems that the storage module is actually just the NAND chips that do the actual storing. The storage controller and the DRAM, so the cache for that drive, is actually sat next to the CPU on, like, not quite on silicon, but basically next to. So it would be a Apple proprietary thing. Not great. Which, it kind of makes you wonder when you scroll down to the bottom of Apple's website and they're like Mac Studio and the environment. This device isn't recyclable, really. There's no harvestable parts. All it has to do is be chucked in e-waste at the end of its life. You can't upgrade it. I mean, the thing is, though, like, it won't be great for the environment at the end of its life, but I expect these things will last a surprisingly long time. Like, I think my sister's iMac is 10 years old this year, and it still runs perfectly fine. It can update as far as Catalina, and it runs fantastically for a device that age. Like, you compare it to a computer, like a desktop PC that someone has custom built from 2012, that will be starting to show its age. Whereas an Apple product surprisingly won't, except maybe the phones. The phones do show their age a lot faster, but then again, you're not carrying a PC around in your pocket every day for 10 years, are you? Or, like, not a full desktop PC. But iFixit have had some success with swapping drives between machines, but they have not had any success with running two drives in the machine itself. So I wonder whether that extra slot is for the 8TB variant. And they just use two 4TB storage modules. It will be interesting to see, but like I say, can't get my hands on one, so whatever. Short of going to the Apple store and asking very nicely, can I take this apart?
Which I'm sure they'll be like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So in terms of pricing, the base Apple Studio with the M1 Max chip starts at 2,000 British pounds. Well, actually, no, it starts at 1,999 British pounds. But, basically $2,000. The M1 Ultra variant starts at $4,000, or 39999. No, 3,999. I put 129s. For the top tier build before any software, because the configurator does have software options, we are talking 8,000 Great British pounds for an M1 Ultra. It costs £800 to double the RAM to 128 gig. I guess that's the cost of soldering it onto the board. I mean, it definitely does not cost £800 to solder RAM to a board. But yeah, and the upgrade to 8TB of storage on the M1 Ultra variant is £2,200, which is just a little bit silly. But at the end of the day, it's an Apple product. It's expensive. And on to the last thing from the announcement, the Mac Studio display. It is basically the ProRes display's slightly more powerful cousin. We don't really have much information on the interior yet because a lot of reviewers prioritize the actual device over the screen. But one thing we do know is that the power cable is fixed. Why? In fact, I don't think even my TV that I bought like 5 years ago came with a fixed power cable. Burridge, can you remember the last time you bought something with a fixed power cable?
I mean, our TV now has a fixed power cable.
Does it actually?
Yeah. It's not exactly an expensive TV, mine.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think mine has like one of the 2-pin kettle lead type deals.
I'm trying to think. Like, I mean, the toaster, the kettle.
Yeah, like appliances, it makes sense. You don't really want people plugging the wrong power supply into their kettle. That would be disastrous.
But yeah,
especially given that those have like a fixed amperage draw. But you know,
no, I can't think of anything.
Realistically, like if I wanted to move these monitors further away from a power point, I could go out and buy a longer cable to plug them in. But this is fixed at a 6-foot cable, just shy of 2 meters, basically. But other than that, it is a 5K display coming in at 27 inches. That's a big display. I'm not going to lie. Obviously, it's going to be aimed towards creators, much like the Mac Studio. But it does have a built-in webcam that seems to be using the same camera module as the iPhone 11 did. That's from the cursory teardown that iFixit did at the end of their Mac Studio teardown. And it costs £1,500 for a display. Seem a bit steep to anyone else, or just me?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I can't say it's good for the environment, but then not buy your own.
Realistically, modularity can be better for the environment. Okay. So I'm just having a look at the configurator. So the £1,499 or £1,500 for the base one, you can get a tilt adjustable stand. If you want a height adjustable stand, it's an extra £400.
For God's sake! I mean, there's a reason I went with, a cheapo Bluetooth mouse and keyboard case set for my iPad.
Yeah,
because
the Magic Keyboard.
The alternative was like £600 compared to £50.
Yeah, I was just having a look at the configurators a second again, just because was it the wheel? No, it was the stand for the monitor.
Yes,
that was a grand, wasn't it? Okay, yeah. But I was just looking at the Mac Pro, and they really missed out. The Mac Pro rack configuration, they really could have called it the Rack Pro, but they didn't. So 0 out of 10, Apple, worst company ever.
Studio looks like it's a midway between the Mini and the Pro.
Yeah, well, I feel the Mac Pro...
Although it seems to be aimed at pros in some ways as well.
Yeah, the Mac Pro, I feel, is more designed for, like, heavy computational tasks. So, like... I mean, it'll work for like production of media or something, but like looking at some agencies that use this, some of them are like crunching numbers.
I do.
To be fair, though, it is one of the few sort of desktop packages that you can get an Intel Xeon W in easily.
I was going to say it's like the only Apple product these days that still uses Pro.
Yeah.
If the Studio is what it is now, I am really wondering what the Pro will be.
Are they going to develop another? Are they going to put a bridge chip in between two M1 Ultras?
Ooh.
And have a dual-socketed M1 Ultra?
Ooh.
That would be insane.
Ooh.
You know the worst part is that the TDP and the power draw on the M1 is so low compared to that Intel Xeon. So it is something else entirely.
It would be insanely more powerful and also insanely really efficient.
Yes, yeah. That is one thing. The M1 silicon is very energy efficient. So I guess that means Apple can sort of claim they're green, despite the fact that nothing in this device can be upgraded. But yeah. Anyway, on the topic of CPUs, AMD has announced the next-gen Threadripper. and you can't buy it.
Of course.
I was kind of disappointed to find this out because, a Threadripper has always been like, if you had the big money and you wanted a proper workstation, then you go Threadripper. But now AMD are saying no, you can't have it. Even though they're releasing it, it's only going to be available to OEM system integrators. So as far as I know, at the moment, Lenovo are the only ones that can get their hands on it. It's coming in Lenovo workstation PCs.
Ooh.
Which is interesting because, I know that the uni down here is primarily Lenovo computers.
Well, yeah, they all got changed the year I was there.
In fact, all of our lecture halls are running on Lenovo Think Centers, the little thin ones.
Yep, because they got all new monitors, keyboards, mice. They got the whole lot. I think it was I did my foundation year on the older hardware, and then over the summer, going into my first year, they changed it all.
That'd be my kind of dream job, would be going into somewhere, ripping out all the old stuff and putting in all the new stuff.
And then stealing all the old stuff.
Realistically, I'm here learning how to program and stuff, but I just love the hardware side of things. Problem is, there's not really a degree you can study in that. Short of electrical engineering, but then you sort of more learn about that's kind of tangentially related. So, but sadly, this could be spelling the end for the very highest end Profusiast PCs. Especially with the fact that AMD recently unlocked the ability for OEM system integrators to lock their CPUs to a certain motherboard. Did you see the LTT video on that?
Oh, I didn't.
It was a Ryzen 5 3600 or something, and they put it into a Lenovo motherboard from one of their pre-builds, and it became locked to that system.
Ooh, that's not.
Yeah, literally. So that means you couldn't even buy one and take the Threadripper out if they have that enabled on it. But the thing is, it's the Threadripper was never a gaming PC CPU.
No.
It has always been way too powerful for that. I know there's the meme in the community of you can never have too many frames. But in reality, at the cost to run a CPU, because just the thermal output from it starts at about 200 watts. Running a Threadripper, unless you're doing heavy computational work or you're doing something insane high detail 3D rendering all on CPU alone, then that'd be the only time it'd call for a Threadripper outside of a professional environment. And realistically, if you're doing that sort of animation, you're probably doing it as a professional anyway.
Yeah.
So it'll hit a few people. I do know of people who did buy Threadrippers and game on them, mainly as a brag. I have a Threadripper. Ha ha ha. But no, it's sad. But at the end of the day, Okay, there seems to be a lot of things that doesn't affect me really, in terms of the sort of meh news. So, anyway, on a different topic, OneWeb Satellite Internet are launching the remainder of their satellite constellation aboard Falcon 9. This is all Russia's fault. We won't get into we all know the reasons why, but we won't get into the politics of that. You'll have to join us on Patreon for a special episode about politics. So yeah, this has got to hurt OneWeb. So I'm guessing you don't know what OneWeb are, Burridge.
Nope. No,
Okay.
I'm completely out of the whole satellite side of things.
You know what Starlink is?
It's a competitor to Starlink, then, I assume.
Yeah, it is a Starlink competitor. It is it's similar to Starlink, except for it seems to more target business and government use. So it would be providing a reliable internet connection for things like satellite offices for businesses, or for like temporary missions on behalf of a government around the world. I expect they probably provide some military internet communication as well. But yeah, so they were launching aboard Soyuz, which is launched from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. But the actual Cosmodrome is run entirely by Roscosmos, which is a Russian agency. So OneWeb are now having to pay the biggest disruptor in the game, SpaceX with Starlink, put their equipment in space. So that's to be fair, it's like how would be the best to describe this? I don't know, it's really hard to describe. I don't think there's really anything that would be easy to explain that's like an analogy for it. It's like in Formula One, when the team's logistics companies use trucks made by a rival team's like primary sponsor. So it's like if Red Bull had all their equipment hauled around by Mercedes lorries. That'd be like kind of the analogy. Or it'd be like if every iPhone in the world was shipped aboard a ship made by Samsung. Because Samsung do make ships.
Yeah, true.
Samsung are a lot bigger than they seem. It is something else. They even have like a biomed research division, which is moderately concerning.
Yeah.
But yes, that's just a little bit of information. Just a sad fact of what happens when it all goes wrong in Eastern Europe. When there's one particularly big aggressive bloke getting angry at some smaller countries. But that's not for now. On the topic of Eastern Europe, though, CD Projekt Red. They have announced they are working on a fourth game in the Witcher series, but something is different with this one.
Yes.
So, obviously, they announced that they are working on the game, and that's about all we know about what's coming in The Witcher 4, if that's even what they're going to call it. Instead, the announcement was more of a platform to announce something else. They are stopping using the Red Engine, which is their own game engine. And instead, they are having a multi-year deal with Epic Games to use the Unreal Engine 5. I don't really know much about game engines. So
Unreal Engine 5 has...
It's what Fortnite's made in, isn't it?
Well, it's made in Unreal Engine, but
Yeah,
Unreal
Fortnite's
Engine 5 has only really come out recently.
Okay, so
it's the newest version of the engine.
It's a continuation of 4, though, really.
Yes.
Or it's based similarly.
But it has added lots and lots and lots and lots of new things. And from what I've seen of it, very, very good. The Matrix demo that everyone was playing on the PS5 recently, that was made in Unreal Engine 5.
That was Unreal 5, okay.
Yes. So that's the sort of thing that is possible with it. And when I saw like the quote-unquote gameplay of the Matrix demo, there wasn't a lot of gameplay. There was a bit of shooting and walking around, but there was no missions or proper gameplay really attached to it. It was mostly just look at the physics and the shit like that. But the graphics on it were actually remarkable because, you know, it was effectively rendering it in real time as if it was a cutscene now.
Okay, yeah. To be fair, looking at some of the stills they have from in the engine on the website, it does actually look graphically amazing.
So, and, you know, The Witcher 3 in particular looked very good for its time. It still looks very good now. And that was in Red Engine, their own engine. but obviously quite buggy as well. And, well, we already know what happened with Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that they've decided to do this. I'm assuming Epic approached them and was like, hey, we'll pay you to use our brand new engine, because that seems to be what's going on at the moment. They seem to be paying people to use their engine.
Well, it's like back when they first launched the Epic Games Store, they approached companies and paid them to be exclusive to their store.
Looking at you, Square Enix.
They didn't so much pay Psyonix to make Rocket League exclusive as they bought Psyonix to make Rocket League exclusive, which I'm still not. It was a good game, but I don't want to have to log into Epic for it. On the bright side, though, it has been announced that at least the next entry in the Witcher series will not be Epic Games exclusive. So
at the moment,
yeah, it has happened before where things have been announced for Steam and then not. But to be fair, with something like the weight of the Witcher series, mind you, they've done it with other big series. They did it with Borderlands.
Yeah.
So,
Final Fantasy VII Remake, the Integrate version. So that's the version that came out on the PS5 with the extra content. That is exclusive to the Epic Games Store. And the latest Final Fantasy game, The Strangers of Paradise, Final Fantasy... Oh, God, it's a stupid title. But anyway, that is exclusive to Epic Games Store on PC.
Right. I understand someone's trying to step up and compete with Steam, but I feel like the approach is really the wrong way to go about it. Like, we're going to compete with Steam by not having competition over these purchases. We're going to make them. You can only have them here.
Yeah,
that's not how competition's supposed to work. But oh well.
Speaking of, no, we can't really do much about it at the moment. But speaking of things, no, I've got a better one for you.
You got a better thing.
Speaking of things that are multi-platform,
OBS
is now on another platform.
Yeah, this was a weird one to see. OBS is on Steam now. I mean, sure, Steam have done software for a long time. It's not what we think of primarily when we think of Steam, but, whatever. It's there. But OBS? Really?
I think it's great.
Well, yeah, updating is going to be a lot easier.
I mean, there's no point in it in reality, but, I mean, it's just another platform for people to have it on, I guess.
Although I do wonder. I wonder whether it's to enable streaming from the Steam Deck.
Ooh, maybe, because
that's what I thought about it, because, that way it can automatically integrate with Proton through Steam if it doesn't run natively on... I think OBS does run on Linux.
OBS runs natively on everything.
Yeah, OBS is good like that.
Okay, it doesn't run on things like iPad and iPhone, but yes,
the actual
main, desktop
your big three, it runs on them. I say the big three. Sorry, Linux, I've just grouped every distro in with you. But I've just set the whole Linux community like that. But the question is, though, if I install it through Steam and uninstall my old one, what happens to all my plugins? Are they going to be on the Steam Workshop?
Well, no. In theory, the plugins and everything are stored elsewhere, aren't they? I don't think they're stored in the install itself. So. There's a settings area that everything's all saved to.
I might install it and see what happens. Play around with. I just thought it was really odd when I saw the headline about it.
I mean, the software I use to edit the podcast is on Steam. That's what I use.
Yeah, but it's just a strange move, to be honest. But I think that's it for today. Well, hey, and that's it. That is us all done for this episode of Burridge and Tom Rambling On. If you've liked what you've heard and you want to hear more, you can subscribe to Burridge and Tom over on YouTube or follow our podcast on your favourite podcast source, now including Amazon. If you really like what you've heard, then you can support us over on Patreon. If you want to get involved with the community, you can join our Discord. To all these the links to all these and more are available over at burridgeandtom.com. Just before we do the outro, I would like to say, okay, Google, Alexa, hey Siri, subscribe to Burridge and Tom Rambling On. As always, I have been Tom.
And I've been Burridge.
Thank you so much for listening, and we'll be back next time with even more nonsense.
Goodbye.
Goodbye now.